And to tie it all into porn, look how fucking unracistly racist porn is. Like that's so crazy that like in an industry that's just like has no tact, no accountability, nothing at all, you would expect it to be a fetid wasteland of fucking horrible racist shit. The internet in general is, you can go to websites that are just like, oh, these are horrible charts, and here's a presidential candidate just retweeting them. But porn itself is just like, yeah, put that big black dick, and here's a big, but it's like, it's not like, it doesn't treats race as if it's like hair color or height or like, it's like, oh, what are you into, you know? And so it's like, it's all equivalent.
Who's yelling, yeah, put that big black dick
in
the room? Is there like an announcer?
Probably Nick Manning. Big black dick! No, I was trying to think of an example. Because I'm always like, I always feel like as a child of the 70s, whenever I see like interracial this or anything like that, I always like brace myself for something that's gonna like make me uncomfortable. like even in the privacy of my own bed, like with my laptop open, I'm like still going like, don't make this awkward for me. But 9 times out of 10, it's simply just a celebration of whatever. It's like people go to dark places when they're, well, that's a pun. Didn't
have to be. Didn't have to be.
People are just like fulfilling themselves, and it's there's a line past like things that are like absolutely inappropriate, that are like shielding terrible hateful feelings that you're being dishonest about, and then you go to these crevices where people go to like just pleasure themselves, these public toilets that we consider so non-sacred. But it's remarkable to me and notable to me that you don't see like a lot of what you would qualify as racism in these ridiculous circuses, although you see acknowledgement of race. Well, okay, so counterpoint.
First of all, that stuff doesn't actually, it's not real, so it's in there. So you have people who are actively racist indulging their sort of isolated fantasies and that stuff. I mean, it's that the fact that this categories exist because
what do you mean? Like, well, let's be really specific though, because like, wouldn't you expect to see like, I don't know. Well, now I'm gonna. If I riff an example, I'm just gonna like fucking like.
But you hit all the notes. There's Brazzers, which is basically just
world famous.
but it's a thing. It's a touchstone. It's a comedic touchstone. Because it literally is just sanctioned violence against whoever is whether it's women. Usually it's women. If it's black women, then it's black women. Then you double by a power of 2 the amount of horseshit that you're like putting into this narrative that is porn, and it's because there's a tacit agreement that because you're clicking into it and you're doing it or you're watching it or you've bought it or it's being shown somewhere and you're watching it in a community of people, that's okay. So okay, that exists. On the outside of it, if you look at it and do an inventory of what's going on, it's horrifying, and it's the stuff that contributes often to.
Well, what's horrifying? I want to get more specific. Like you can we just like trade like things that are like, you know what, this is part of the problem, not part of the solution. This is ridiculous, but not actually causing any part of the problem. And then, is there something that's like actively maybe making the world a better place while still being porn, which would be a new category of porn in any respect? I mean, everything is like, and first of all, inherently misogynist.
Yeah, I just don't think that to isolate it as Disneyland Paris, where this kind of stuff happens, where things are a little bit cracked, but lovely things happen, you know.
Right. Wait. No.
Which is what I thought.
No, I think
like
you might
were
have
doing.
misunderstood me.
Okay.
I'm saying like in a world where Donald Trump is like pulling fucking charts that are about. There's a difference between genuine racism and then this just dumb. 90 IQ playfulness of like, if you're like we keep thinking that like first of all, like ignorance does lead to hatred, because if you're ignorant you can be like revved up by people who are willing to take advantage of you. The people who aren't actively invested in your hatred are, for instance, pornographers. They're invested in your animalistic release and your indulgence of crazy taboo fantasies. So I think it's very notable psychologically that in politics you will hear more genuinely problematically racist things put forward in ways that actually last and lead to policies and things like that. When if you were to go into the porn world where supposedly everyone's a fucking idiot and therefore they should be the most racist people in the world, but no, because they're not incentivized by hatred, they may be totally inappropriate. They're not the most stylistically savvy people in the world. So you have just people going hey, click here if you want to watch a white woman take 2 giant big black cocks, because you know how black those fucking big cocks are. It's not it's if you're
all of these. I mean, the only difference between that example and the other example is that those guys, at the end of their end game is policy, public policy, legislation, and porn people aren't really. Their end game isn't that.
I don't know what they're doing either.
But
I'm fucking locked into you.
All of these words, but they're all
and
of
your
these,
big black mind.
They were.
Take it, Dan.
It's fucking stretching my little white racist hole out.
You'd be shocked what you're capable of. But these are all sort of microcosms, and each one of those has at its core a resonator, and that resonator hits all of these points. So all the things you're saying that politicians are doing, that Trump is doing, also exist and are in play in the world of porn. So yes, some of these things, in their abstracted way, draw people who are going to see this and somehow their world is going to open a little bit or whatever. But again, within that whole idea that of ignorance, there is selective. There is this ignorance where somebody is ignorant and they are not in control of the fact that they don't know anything. They don't know it. So that's that. Then there is this sort of selected ignorance where people choose to stay ignorant because they know that outside of that fence, more information comes that may change the way they are or that shakes them from their sort of their pedestal. And a lot of what you see in porn is that. It's just fence building to keep people in a world that allows them to do whatever. And it's a zero-sum game in the sense that if that person never ventures out of their house, then we don't know what ill will they're harboring. But some of those people, in some factor, in a 1 to 10 sample, some of those people do enter out. And in that sample, there are some people who do things that are not great. And of that, some of those things become public, and then we on the outside look at those people and go, well, how did we get to this? How did we come to this place? How did this person get here? So I think that all of it's in play in all of these. Even in music, it's the same stuff. And we can have the same kinds of debates
well, so I think
about
what you're
people
saying
using the N-word in rap and people who, with that, or
in all
in
matters
rock,
of entertainment, we have always used that to express,
exactly.
like from the time when it was okay, it's Rob, don't you fucking move. Oh, he's putting his phone away. Okay, I thought he was leaving again.
Put my phone away.
Well, because entertainment is visceral, and it's if you take racism into the world of media, you're probably not going to get disabused of it within media. That's what what we tend to do wrong, and then we applaud things that we go you know what, this is so good it might like a Norman Lear sitcom or something like that. You go this is so good that you could come into it racist and leave possibly somehow having been tricked into your mind opening a little bit. I'm not when we're holding the yardstick of whether or not it's doing good or bad, or that it's I think we're probably on the same page and looking at the thing that I'm saying is sort of remarkable is just that it's okay, so compare it to religion. Why would there be more racism more prevalent in religion? And I know what you're talking about is when you if racism is the fences that you're talking about. So any place where you're conscious of race, then you're not helping, right?
But that's racism, that's sexism, that's bias of learn a chosen bias, I would say, selective bias. People who are knowingly.
So, in all porn, you're always watching a woman get fucked by a guy. Not in all
Well,
porn.
or
That
no.
was a
Sometimes a Scooby-Doo.
I'm saying like for women have been dealing with this forever. Like it's like pornography tends to involve it's a difficult highway cone set to navigate taking your feminism into pornography. There's a lot of dumb people making a lot of stuff and etc.
Yeah, that's one of the outer edges of how you define it, and the people who have a sense of pushing borders of sexuality and how it's accepted are the ones who are trying to who have always tried to sort of make it a thing, so that you leave it as a choice for the other person to decide what it is they want to be comfortable with. But you also try to take things that people are uncomfortable with and make them understand that there are other sensibilities out there. But it gets, like all things, it gets corrupted, and it gets changed by the moneymakers. I mean, you look at the things that are, for example, and I don't know if this will make any sense, but there was a time when Walmart or a chain of some sort selected to remove any Rush album with the Starman symbol on it because he was nude and that was perceived to be sexual, and trying to force Polygram or Mercury to take that symbol off of the Rush album covers.
Are you sure it just wasn't because Rush sucks?
All right, let's not get distracted. All right. Well. Let me. I think
After the show, DeMarch. After the show.
Every time we have a conversation of any gravity, I perceive myself as just dragging you back into pettiness. But thought of another example, which is that on Twitter we have a African American president who I noted at one point, like, he can't tweet, his team can't tweet. Healthcare is good, going good. Got to keep that Guantanamo going. Everybody, I'm the president. He makes a tweet. If you look through the replies, invariably, at least one use of the N-word.
And Flotus's Twitter is worse.
Let's just finish my little thing. So isn't it a little crazy that if you go to Pornhub Premium, now available for gift prices,
But for how long?
and they do have like porn sites have comment sections, and they have titles, and they have editors, and they have directors, and they have writers, and they have actors. That seething hatred.
Maybe it's because, like, if you're looking at porn, you're usually doing it by yourself in the privacy of your own home, and there's no agenda to it. It's not
maybe it's because when you're looking at porn, you already feel like you're doing something wrong. Therefore, you're actually in an honest zone. So you've actually compartmentalized yourself, and it's like the ambition to be a good person may be, like, hugely responsible, like for so many things that we do wrong to each other.
I also think with the president's site, a lot of that stuff you leave up because you want the world to see sort of what is out there. You don't want to pretend.
So, DeMarge, I don't follow her, but you're saying that Flotus, that she.
But that's not. But I mean, it's not just her, because I mean, Roseanne Barr gets annihilated with things.
I think we're straight for the point, though. I don't think porn sites cull their comment sections for racism.
I'm just saying I hadn't thought about the fact that Ms. Obama is getting nailed every time she opens her mouth on Twitter, of course.
About anything, and some of it's and much of it isn't racist. It's just weird sexist stuff.
It's terrible,
blah, blah,
awful.
That kind of stuff.
Like if it was possible to.
But you leave it up. I mean, you look at when Obama was first elected president, there's a song called, I forget what it's called. It's a country song by I'm thinking of the guy's
Jr.
name. No, sir.
It's a good guess.
It's called I think it's called the Monkey President or something like that came out. Now, here's the trick.
Hear me out.
Here's the trick.
Hear me out.
Let him finish.
It's a legit country song. It's not Roy Acuff. It's somebody I don't want to attach any names to it, but it's somebody. It's a
Toby
notable.
Keith. Is it Toby Keith?
No. You're way. This is old school. This is in the Highwayman era. But when you look at the song, and people were just throwing the song out there, posting it everywhere, et cetera, and people were appalled in this day and time that people would write a song like this, et cetera. The song is from 1975 or 1906, it turns out, and it was written about Jimmy Carter. But you have people who are so anxious to do something, and they go, remember that song from a long time ago? And then they pull it out, digitize it, send it out, and just start this chain that goes on, because that's what's out there. And
they love it.
You go into that wormhole and you see it, and there was a time on MySpace where I stumbled onto a Klan site. like a guy's page. It just was in the Klan. That was it. And the graphic design, when I went through his friends, it occurred to me suddenly that the Klan had their own sort of people who are just their friends who market their graphic design skills out to them, and they are Klan specific. Just glittering stars and horses with hoods, just these GIFs or whatever, just riding around the back of your bio.
Racist horses.
Riding in the background. I mean, this stuff exists out there. And what do? You don't wipe it away. One of the benefits of the world that we live in now is that we do see all this, so that it's not just whispered about and it's not just shadows sort of drifting around the corners.
Do you feel that's a good thing? I mean,
it's a thing, and there's enough stuff going.
It could be seen. It could be seen.
Yeah, and I think that there's enough stuff going on in the world right now.
Do you think that
we don't have time to be?
Sorry, the Rule 34 thing. Do you think that there's any porn where it's guys dressed up as KKKs fucking Scooby Doos?
Well,
for real?
Well, I was going to say,
if not now, there will be tomorrow.
There is not a dearth of KKK. I've stumbled onto KKK sites. I've stumbled onto like cartoons of like terrible. Fair enough.
Might as well stay here.
And I do, because I'm like, holy fuck. And I don't stumble into what I would call racist porn. I stumble into what I would call constantly I guess what maybe you and I would agree is like what do you call it? A perpetuation of fences in porn. I mean, like the idea if you
just opening doors.
If you want to know that black guys have huge dicks and all this stuff, like you're not going to be. There's not a lot of activity going on in porn that's designed to like blow, like sophisticate you. But what you don't see is like videos where it's like. Where people are being dehumanized actively in the narrative, except the women.
I'm sorry. What?
Where I don't see like white guys saying to black guys in porns like hey, you're not a human being, so you should fuck this person. Like it's not. I don't see like racist shit. I see consciousness of race and horrible affirmation of off the top stereotypes. Because they're not bright people.
I got to get Pornhub Premium then.
What are you watching? Can you at least just tell me a piece of porn that you watched that was like.
I just know like okay, let's say
where you're like this is fucked up. I'm walking away from this fucking like this is I'm.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't.
I think
it's
the big thing is generally like the abuse of the women in it. It's like
Jeff, please put a sock in it. I asked him a question.
I was saying like I don't think like what you're saying is like if you want to go onto a site and watch little.
I think if you look hard enough, you'll find it.
Did you look hard enough?
No.
Okay.
It just showed up.
All right.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
What did you see? It just showed up. What did you see that just showed up?
Everything you just described.
What?
Just words, weird, shaming. Yeah,
you actually saw like actual status like where they're low status, like where the black protagonist is low status.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's right there. It's there. It's even there. If you're looking at something else and it's linked to porn related stuff, it's in the advertising on the side because that world is full of people who in that zone. It's catch as catch can. If you don't want to see it, you're not going to hit click and go through that door. If you want to see it, you'll go through the door. Whatever your intentions are, if you're curious and you just want to do field recordings in your mind of what's out there, you'll go through there. If that's what you need, then you'll go through there. Like
right.
Whatever that stuff is. I mean that.
Probably a majority of it is it's an extension of the misogyny because like it's the gangbang like kind of like this woman is it's like where the. It's like, the black guys are going to come in and like they're being
to be honest with
characterized as a force of nature rather than
feel like
characters.
there's a lot of stuff, and it's in a normal world. Let's say you work in human resources, and there's 4 or 5 people in the cubicle section with you, and you hate Frank, and you have some problems with Lori, and this, that, and the other. But right now, we are living in a world where you are constantly reminded that those things are misguided. malintended. You really can't do that in the real world. It wasn't too long ago that you could print out a list of the 10 most sexist jokes you could think of, 10 most racist things you could think of, and pass it around, and the people that were with you would do it. You can't do that shit anymore.
Right.
You can't do that shit, or you've got to go dark web about it, and then if you get found out, you're fired, and you can't. But you can, and every once in a while you see this happens. Now you can't, and those people are constantly reminded that they've got to either adjust, open up their world, and figure out a way to be, or they've got to calcify themselves and harden, ossify, and tighten up. And what they're banking on often in these sites, I think, is that you gotta go somewhere. You gotta put yourself someplace. So they're saying, here's a room and here's a jar. Squeeze in whatever.
So that was a very compelling argument that I finally registered in my head.
Yeah, I do think that that's what it is. It's you were right.
You're saying
right
that's enabling. I think what I heard you just say is that there's actually hope for the future in terms of that. That as progress happens, there's restraint happening, and actually these crevices that you can go down and explore deep darkness, that those are actually just enabling something that maybe
I wonder if we
should cut off.
Yeah, I do wonder if the market model hasn't changed to that now, where it's just sort of these things that trust me, it's the holidays. You guys, many of you are going to go home. And you're going to have people sitting at the table who are going to say something, and the whole table's going to stop and look, and they're like, "What? Y'all didn't care about that three years ago." But those people, imagine being that person, and every single day, television, elsewhere, everything, commercials, are reminding you that where you thought you had planted yourself in life is where you're going to stay. And not only are you behind the curve, but you've been behind for a long time. It just didn't get loud enough until now for you to see it. So the amount of catch-up work you're going to have to do is that mountain is steep, and you've either got to run hard and run fast and run long, or run slowly and probably not live to see your sort of comeuppance. But it can be an exhausting proposition. So what do? You live day to day to day, and under the weight of that thing. And I mean, if you read Rick Bass or the authors, the modern American authors right now who are writing, who have replaced the Mailers and the Updikes and the Carvers, these are the pressures that they're writing about right now. The protagonists, the Carver protagonists, back then, often what they were dealing with was marriage and relationships and modern relationships and the things that we've been taught, and how those things don't necessarily apply because the world around us is changing. And so how do suburban dreams continue to exist? How do we keep that framework up when everything around us is changing? So that kind of stuff. What's changing now, I think, is affecting people individually who come from that world, because they now have to get out of that neighborhood, and they have to deal with a whole other set of principles. And that tension in those people, that coiled tension, if you offer a release to somebody and say nobody can see it because it's happening in a world that is gridless, basically.
Mm-hmm. You think that's
you're saying
that's like the Ring of Power. That's like giving a piece of heroin to. That's like I think that there's a lot of that sort of Pavlovian incentivized stuff going on, and people are and I'm having a totally different experience that is absolutely probably equally valid. I would even probably go so far as a self-loathing person to say your point of view is way more valid, but I'm having the exact opposite experience right now because I just got divorced, which means that I lived in a world like for years where everything was about the obligations that I had to everybody around me, and of course middle-aged men, they get divorced and then they get the tattoo and the Tesla, and they start saying inappropriate things to their younger coworkers, and they just turn into like douchey cavemen. And I think part of that is that it's like this pendulum that swings back and forth between reality and fantasy. And I think that in a world where like we all have like USB slots in our foreheads at this point, like I think one of our biggest issues that we're contending with that we haven't actually labeled is the division between fantasy and reality, because we are such a successful empire And one of the things that we've successfully done so much is created like these dreams that we dream together we don't even really, all we do is go to work and pull levers, and then it's like we watch 6 hours of TV a day. So it's like we don't actually, it's like actually a big deal if someone on TV like makes us think a certain thing or represents a certain demographic as a thing. It's like we look at that as the same as a senator voting wrong, and we get very upset. And like I think one of the big crucial issues is we have so little respect for ourselves that we can't actively go, here's reality, and here's actually like, here's my biochemistry. Here's like my fucked upness, which is, this sewer where I like watch dinosaurs chase motorcycles. But we won't do it because then the guy on the motorcycle goes, by the way, I'm running for president next week. And we're like, oh, really? Yeah, that makes sense. Of course you would. You outran a dinosaur. And if the dinosaur says, like, you should buy Panasonic, but Panasonic turns out to make landmines, we're like, oh, I'm going to boycott your company. Like, we have no division. Like, we because we sit around and just watch. We're the third act of Wall-E. Like, we just sit and watch shit. Like, that shit actually, ironically, is toxically infected with reality. Because right now what I'm experiencing as a douchey, middle-aged divorcee is, like, indulgence in fantasy, and it's making me a happier person in my day-to-day life. Because I'm actually actively able to, like, I go, ugh, and I come, and then I go, time to go to work. That was dark. And then I'm like, something got...
Jinkies!
Something...
Zoinks!
I feel like something got... Now, in my mind, my view is something got released, and what your view is, which is equally valid, as I said, if not more, is that maybe something got along the way, depending on what you're indulging. Maybe there's seeds getting planted. There's things being affirmed or perpetuated.
I just think that people are different. I think that on the other end of that, the moneymaker end of it, the reason somebody, I mean, you have no idea. The guys programming these sites programming these sites might be the most liberal, most understanding people in the world. But from a money-making end of it, they understand that, that's the goose. So that's the golden goose, and so they're just going to keep, they just keep finding ways to maximize that potential. And you can see what you were talking about. In this run of GOP debates, from the first one up to the last one this past week, there's no reason any of these debates said anything that anybody needs to think anything about. There's no reason any of these polls say anything that anybody really needs to think anything about. What's going to happen is in January, we're going to wipe all that. Anybody who knows anything is going to wipe all that shit out. Iowa's going to happen. I believe New Hampshire still is going to happen next, and so and that's a caucus, I think. And so, what's going to happen is that whole paradigm is going to fall away. And if you ask the question, well, why the hell do we spend so much time on it? Well, there are so many cottage industries that are connected to the idea of broadcasting that, making graphics for it, making that sort of Mad Max Fury Road flaming guitar theme music for it that scares the shit out of us, and all that other stuff.
I don't know that Ted Cruz guy he's got the goods.
But wait, when they like in January when we start having our first debates, that's when it actually really counts. That's when it really cares, when it matters, and from that point on, you can calibrate. In the past, that's the way it's been. But it's interesting how many more debates there are in the lead up to this, given this particular situation, and to watch this happen and watch how many people are talking about it, how many headlines are posted about it, how many are in gigantic bold, like just as if this is the Lindbergh baby resolution, and it's none of this shit is real. And it's
you've given us the perfect segue into our regular segment, Rob Schraub's Politics Corner. Yeah. Sorry, I dug my hand in there, but
You know what I hate?
What do you hate, Rob?
Christmas greed. This game that you ever go to like a family thing or like a work thing? It's called like the White Elephant game.
Oh right,
whatever.
yeah. We all
You know
do
what
that,
it is?
Yeah.
That's a stupid game. Stupid. Everybody's like, I don't know. Oh God, I don't like it.
That was Rob Sharp's Politics Corner.
Rob, that was a good one too.
I gotta say, I didn't think you could top your last Politics Corner. That one, it was trenchant, it was biting, it was incisive.
How do you feel about Ted Cruz's shenanigans?
The skateboard guy?
Yeah. I don't know anything. I don't know. I couldn't. If Ted Cruz was standing in front of me, I wouldn't know. I've never seen the man. I don't know what he looks like. I don't know if it's a guy. I don't know.
He was in Mission Impossible 5.
Was he?
God damn it.
Oh, shit, sorry.
Just, it's for the seat. It's not.
Sorry. I've disgraced the seat.